Okay, what do we got here? Trump administration says it wants to eliminate FEMA. Oh boy. Who's ready for less federal disaster relief? Hey, poor Republican states. Looking at you guys. We, broadly speaking, we know it's like another sort of like idea behind like Republican conspiracism that like FEMA camps are used to like trans your kids or some shit, like whatever nonsense they gin up in terms of like conspiracy theory to try to like, I don't know, limit function of the federal government, to be honest, because again, that's what Republicans truly care about, is making people suffer. And he wants to like have disaster relief be handled like on a state by state sort of cases basis. But yeah, I'm sure like what was it? It was a hurricane, I think, in South Carolina. Was it? I think it was one of the Carolinas that Donald Trump hyper fixated on it so much and so hard. He's going to be able to cover the costs of having to rebuild from that without the help of FEMA. But what do we got here? President Trump says the Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA, should be eliminated and that states should take on more responsibility for responding to and preparing for extreme weather and natural disasters. Dog, it's going to be hard for red states to do that because they have, like, no fucking money to do that. Like, they're the ones who take in more money from the federal government for, well, broader fucking programs. Like, the blue states, they can afford this, right? Because they are, broadly speaking, richer states, generally speaking, because of a lot of the big blue cities. Republican like austerity politics and policies within states themselves make it such that they are a net drain on the fucking economy. Yeah, exactly. Like Texas is the richest red state, and they can't weather disasters. Exactly, Boy Meets Mini. That would mean big changes for the millions of Americans who rely on FEMA after hurricanes, wildfires, tornadoes, floods, and other weather disasters every year. The cost of weather disasters in the U.S. has skyrocketed in the last decade as climate change causes more intense weather and populations grow in areas that are at high risk for hurricanes, wildfires, and other destructive events. Yeah, we're gonna eventually gonna get to the point where you can't like build housing or live in areas because it's just gonna be too many tornadoes causing too much of a disaster, and you're just gonna have to like abandon your fucking homes and stuff like that. That's gonna eventually become a thing, right? That's not like hyperbolic and ridiculous to say. FEMA currently works with states to prepare for disasters, provides on the ground help during emergencies, and pays out billions of dollars for repairs. Emergency management experts and state response officials say that FEMA plays a crucial role on that state governments cannot handle on their own. Here's what we know about the Trump administration's plan to eliminate FEMA. When will FEMA be eliminated? President Trump says the agency could be eliminated as soon as December 2025. Oh boy, that's going to be a total not shit show if that fucking happens. Dude, it's going to be like, random flash freeze happens in Texas. They try to get aid from FEMA. What aid from FEMA? Dog, that shit's fucking gone. FEMA? You mean you got to figure out that shit on your own. Like it's just like one of those fucking things where it's just like, dude, like Republicans have like broadly speaking alienated themselves from so many people and themselves that it's just like, dog, you're not gonna like receive any of the help that you think you guys are gonna get. Like, no one likes you people. No one likes working with you people. And you're just doing everything possible to make the situation worse and worse and worse for yourselves. Like, it's incredible, dude. Like, I don't know. Like, it's one of those situations where it's like you hate to see it, folks. You really do. You love to see it, folks. It's a complete shit show disaster. You love to see it, and it's just like, dog. Like, people are gonna suffer and die because of this shit. Like, I don't know. It's crazy, dude. Speaking in the Oval Office in June, he said that major changes to FEMA would come after the Atlantic hurricane season ends in November. We want to wean off of FEMA, and we want to bring it back to the state level. But states can't handle like most of these disasters, bro. Like, he's just gonna get people killed. He also said that the agency will immediately give out less money to states that are recovering from disasters. Like, he's trying to use this specifically to go after blue states, but this is going to hurt more red states in the South, quite literally. Like, this is not gonna work out how he thinks how it is. Like, yeah, just thoughts and prayers from, I don't know, when people get killed and their homes are torn to shreds because of like tornadoes and hurricanes and stuff like that. The president also appointed a council of cabinet members, governors, and emergency management experts tasked with recommending changes to FEMA. That group, the FEMA Review Control, had its first meeting in May and is supposed to make recommendations by mid-November. The council is expected to complete its work by May 2026, suggesting that the Trump administration intends to eliminate or restructure FEMA in the period between the 2025 hurricane season and the 2026 hurricane season. Yeah, all the dumbass restructuring happens. It's going to make FEMA completely decrepit and useless and incapable of being able to, well, serve communities in their time of need. And, well, you know, people are going to suffer and die as a result. And broadly speaking, I mean, this has always been the sort of like Donald Trump's like administration playbook at this point. We know, right? Like, we know what's like going on here. This has always been the playbook. And broadly speaking, this isn't just a Donald Trump thing. Rather, this is a more broader Republican thing. Make it such that the federal government is so decrepit and fucking useless that they are capable of running out of the back door with the money in their hands. Like, that's the point of all of this, right? It's all about accumulation and more centralization of power around themselves in order to maintain a system of hierarchy and control. Like, that's literally what it is. Why is the Trump administration proposing this? FEMA's had a long history of failing to serve those who need help the most after disasters. Under the Biden administration, the agency was taking steps to address these problems. For example, the agency simplified paperwork, expanded on-the-ground help after disasters, and made it clear for survivors to get money for diapers, food, and other immediate needs. But that's like that's a funding problem with FEMA, like quite literally. It's insane to me, like just how much like a complete like shit show disaster this is going to be. How many people are going to get hurt as a result of like trying to eliminate FEMA? Reminds me of when the LA's richest suburb had landslides called Elon for help. That's so funny. Yeah, like again, they're expecting private individuals to be the main guys to like want to help for this. But if they're not going to see a profit be made out of this, like why would they fucking help? Again, that's why shit like FEMA exists. Rancho Palo Veras mayor applies to Elon Musk for help with a possible power shutoff. That's so funny. Is this like a Republican area, Boy Meets Mini? John Cruikshank is appealing to tech billionaire Elon Musk for help in assisting homeowners deal with gas shutoffs and possible power shutoffs amongst the worsening landslide. That's so funny. Super rich, Trump's golf course is there. Yeah, I wonder why none of these people are going to get any of the help that they need from like the billionaire who's not gonna like, I don't know, not do any of this stuff unless there's like a particular motive for them to want to do this. Again, like, what, do you think they care about any of these people? No. Like, as far as they can tell, it's like, well, it's not affecting me. I'm not suffering because of this, so I don't know. Eat shit and die. Hilarious. Crazy. It ended up like FEMA had to come and help them. You'll love to see it. You'll love to see it. The Trump administration has taken a different approach. The president has repeatedly suggested that FEMA is hopelessly flawed. At the first meeting of the FEMA Review Council, the council's co-chair, Department of Homeland Security, Kristi Noem, said, "The president and I have had many discussions about this agency. I want to be very clear, the president wants it eliminated as it currently exists. He wants a new agency." We're going to get to Kristi Noem's role in terms of FEMA, because she's trying to divert a bunch of FEMA money and federal money in general all to herself in order to carry out more ICE Gestapo fucking raids. Like, we saw, like, the budget proposal for ICE. It has more money in its budget than most fucking militaries on the planet. It is insane how much money they're fucking trying to divert to, well, ICE so they can build a bunch of, like, alligator Auschwitzes and shit like that. Doesn't Congress oversee FEMA? Yes, and only Congress can fully eliminate FEMA, although the executive branch can act on its own to restructure or reduce the size of the agency. They want to, like, probably reduce it to such an amount in order to, well, not only fulfill conspiratorial fucking nonsense, but also just make it such that the, well, agency in and of itself is completely irrelevant and not able to do its job. Congress has its own ideas about how to reform FEMA. A bipartisan bill making its way through Congress would simplify the process for disaster survivors to apply for federal assistance and remove FEMA from the Department of Homeland Security, giving the agency a direct line to the president. Oh yeah, that's totally not going to be a potential problem with like the Mad King in power. Man, this is totally not going to be a problem whatsoever. I foresee nothing going wrong with this whatsoever. That bill would also incentivize states to invest more in disaster preparedness by tying it to federal aid after a disaster. The bill's focus on preparation as a core FEMA responsibility is at odds with the Trump administration's approach to reforming the agency, which has so far included drastically cutting FEMA's preparedness spending. I wonder why they're cutting all this fucking spending constantly. Because again, they don't care about people who suffer in disasters. Like no one, like you think like these dumbass politicians, these out of touch stooges, care about people who are suffering from like natural disasters that are only getting worse and worse and worse? No, none of these people don't care. They've never had any of your interests in mind. They just want you all to die and suffer. Let's be honest here. What specific FEMA changes are being proposed by the Trump administration? The president has suggested the federal government should have a much smaller role in responding to disasters. Like, why? Again, like, red states are not going to be able to cover for that because, generally speaking, they rely more on federal aid in order to be able to sort of, weather the storm of, natural disasters and also be able to pay for their social safety nets, whatever threadbare social safety nets exist within those states. They are a net drain on the economy. Like, an individualized solution is not going to work for any of this stuff, right? Like, rich people are not going to help unless there's a particular profit motive or incentive for them to be able to make money off of this. Like, and that would have to probably be provided by the government, like subsidies and stuff like that. Otherwise, they're not going to help. Like, why would they? Yeah, church ain't gonna fucking do this either. That's a good point, Boy Meets Mini. Yeah, they're all like for-profit institutions within the United States. But it's unclear what that means in practice. At the first meeting of the FEMA Review Council, Secretary Noem said that she supports a simplified payment system where states receive large disaster recovery block grants from the federal government rather than tailored reimbursements and grants to cover specific repairs. And President Trump said in June that FEMA will provide less disaster-related assistance to states overall. So again, they want to give like more sort of like large disaster grants, but want to provide less assistance to states overall. Like, what do you? The problem with FEMA is that it got like systemically underfunded, right? That's the main issue with fucking FEMA. It doesn't receive any of the funding that it needs, which is why they have a lot of problems. Like, we can quibble about, like, I don't know, federal sort of, like, administration problems within FEMA itself. But that's more so, like, a problem with the bureaucratic state that exists within the United States, right? The United States is, like, I don't know, like, a complete, like, shit show mess of just, like, committees and subcommittees and stuff like that. But again, like, people are going to suffer from fucking FEMA being further, systemically defunded and stuff like this. In red states in particular, who rely more on FEMA. Like, because all of this got borne out by Hurricane Katrina. And a lot of the problems with Hurricane Katrina was a lot of mismanagement on the side of the Bush administration. Not specifically just because of FEMA. Like, it was because Bush just completely bungled the disaster relief of Katrina. That's why Katrina ended up being as big of a disaster as it was. And New Orleans still hasn't fully recovered from Katrina. It's insane. Also, like, again, if, like, bigger democratic cities suffer more from, natural disasters, Republicans are totally okay with that. Like, they don't give a shit. Bloomberg News also reported that an internal agency memo from March confirmed that agency leaders were considering changing FEMA's policies to make it harder for states to receive funding after disasters. Other members of the Review Council suggested shrinking FEMA's National Flood Insurance Program. Oh yeah, dude, that's going to be really good, especially considering the fact that Texas just went through a giant flood. That's killed, like, at this point, over 120 people, I think. Very cool. which provides the majority of residential flood insurance in the United States, and FEMA has already canceled billions of dollars of grants for infrastructure upgrades that were supposed to prevent future damage from extreme weather. Well, it's not profit mode. Can't make a lot of money from doing all that stuff. So, that's cool. That's great. Fantastic. You love to see it. Love to see it. Oh, yeah. Florida has constant flooding because of all the hurricanes that go through there. Not mention the wind damage and all this shit. It's insane, dude. Like, the people who are going to suffer the most are, again, like, it's all going to be Republican states in the fucking South where all the fucking hurricanes go through constantly. Like, duh. By many measures, FEMA appears to be less ready to respond to disasters than it was before President Trump took office. The acting FEMA director, Cameron Hamilton, was abruptly let go in the spring. Let me guess, because of DOGE cuts? He was replaced by David Richardson, a DHS official who has no prior emergency management experience. Wait, what? I thought, like, listen, dude. I thought Republicans hated DEI. What's going on? What's with this DEI fucking hire? David fucking Richardson. I bet Cameron Hamilton was like black or something, so that's why they wanted to get rid of him. We love DEI, folks, but only for white people, let me tell you. Oh yeah, for sure. They're gonna, like, suffer as well, blue states. But again, they have the money to be able to weather to weather stuff like this and be able to recover. Red states don't. They're gonna be the ones who suffer significantly more from this stuff. After Richardson took over, Reuters reported more than a dozen top FEMA employees resigned, including the then second in command at the agency. In June, the head of the agency's disaster coordination office resigned, and changes to the parts of the federal government may have also affected FEMA. An AmeriCorps program, which trained and deployed young people to help after disasters, was canceled because of an executive order signed in the early days of Trump's second term. Right? Because again, it's all about making people suffer and making the federal government as decrepit and incapable of responding as possible for the express purpose of, well, maintaining a system of control. That's the point. If people recognize and see that the state is actually capable of doing good things for them, well, for the broader Republican project, that's the exact opposite thing that they want, right? Because if a state is capable of helping people, they're going to recognize and see, like, oh, we can actually, like, communally and publicly help one another and help try to form, like, community based off of that. And that's exactly the opposite thing that Republicans, well, want within their constituencies. They want them to be as atomized and individualized as possible in order to make it such that, well, it's easier to dupe them to have them vote for them. That's the whole point. And the Department of Homeland Security, which usually supplies extra staff for FEMA after particularly large disasters, is already stretched thin because of the administration's focus on arresting and deporting people. Now, well, they have, like, more money than, like, a military, but I guess, like, listen, it's more important to build alligator Auschwitz. Maybe they want to build, like, more alligator Auschwitzes, so then, I don't know, all those people suffer from diseases brought in from, like, hurricanes and stuff like that. I don't know. Maybe that's the real point. So, what do we have here? Kristi Noem. Let's focus a little bit specifically on the Kristi Noem being under fire for delayed FEMA response to Texas flood. So, what do we got here? What do we have here with Kristi Noem being under fire for this? Unnamed sources in FEMA reportedly told CNN and the New York Times that new policies, including ones that requires Noem personally sign off on any spending requests over $100,000. Interesting. So, if you have any idea about any fucking disaster relief, it's going to be over $100,000, more or less guaranteed. Those things will typically rank up into the fucking billions of fucking dollars. But again, why is Kristi Noem doing this? Like is being said here, slowed responses and removed autonomy from agency employees. She wants to make it such that the FEMA and other federal sort of programs, because of, like, whatever conspiratorial nonsense has been ginned up around FEMA before because of George Bush's fucking bungled response to Hurricane Katrina, to make it such that, whoa, crazy, People are more individualized and atomized and unable to form community with one another as much as possible, so then they can maintain their systems and hierarchy of fucking control. That is the point of all of this. Because again, we all know the meme, like, monkey stronger together, It applies to fucking humanity as well. It's not just like, I don't know, the animal kingdom or whatever, or like humanity that this applies to. Like, the reason why humanity is as successful as it is and on top of the food chain within the planet is because of, well, being able to build community with one another and our social skills. But again, she wants to make these federal agencies as decrepit as fucking possible, and this is a broader Republican trend. So then they have to fucking rely more and more on billionaire fucking altruism in order to be able to, well, receive any kind of relief. It's like, trying to build the actual, like, cyberpunk fucking dystopia. Make people so, like, ridiculously desperate at all times, at all fucking costs. In the case of the Central Texas floods, search and rescue crews specifically trained to respond to catastrophic floods can be deployed until Noem personally gave her stamp of approval. That's fucking insane, dude. Who knows how many people could have been saved because of this, but, gotta make sure the agency is as decrepit and incapable of being able to, I don't know, be able to follow through as possible because of, I don't know, probably some, like, dumb, idiotic, like, conspiracy theory, which didn't come until more than 72 hours after the flooding began. Jesus Christ. Hey, Republicans, I thought we cared about, like, saving the children at those fucking at that goddamn Christian camp. Like, what happened? Kristi Noem is making it such that more children are probably going to die as a result of this. Very cool and very good. Also reportedly delayed a request from Texas first responders for aerial imagery from FEMA to help in the state's search and rescue operations, which also needed Noem's personal approval. She's just killing people, man. At this point, she's not a dog killer, dude. She's a fucking people killer, bro. It's fucking crazy, man. Callers are also facing longer wait times at a disaster call center staffed by FEMA employees because the agency is awaiting the okay from Noem to bring in additional support staff, CNN reported. A disaster on the scale of the Texas floods, the death toll for which had risen to at least 120 as of Thursday, would have traditionally triggered a faster and bigger response, sources told The Times. But Noem had consistently pushed for states to take control of their own disaster response, with FEMA playing only in a supportive role. Again, like, it's all the individualized, balkanized, sort of like, state sort of rights bullshit all the time that the Republicans are always pushing for. That's going to get people fucking killed. And again, it's all about for maintenance of hierarchy and control. Again, they want people to be more reliant on the altruism of fucking billionaires that they're never going to get. Like, quite literally, because there's no incentive for these people to give money in order to help, like, poor, starving people. It's like, whatever. Who gives a shit about any of that stuff? I don't get anything out of this, so, fuck it. Texas has a robust emergency management response system of its own. The state has deployed more than 1,750 personnel versus about 70 search and rescue workers sent from FEMA as of Tuesday, and has managed the disaster largely alone with the help of other states' resources, like those dispatched from Arkansas and Louisiana. On Wednesday, Texas Governor Greg Abbott announced a special legislative session to start later this month that will include 18 items, many of which will look at how to strengthen the state's future response to flooding, including items on flood warning systems and communications, natural disaster preparedness, and relief funding. Yeah, because, again, the federal government is more busy trying to give as many subsidies and tax breaks to fucking billionaires and corporations as possible. Can't have anyone be able to, benefit from the yoke of the fucking state because, that's gonna make them way too dependent on state resources. Yeah, on federal resources. Yeah. Complete fucking nonsense. FEMA representatives did not respond to Forbes' request for comment Thursday morning. Key background. Central Texas was this with a devastating floods on July 4th. Right, okay, so it's talking about the flood itself. What to watch for. If FEMA survives, Trump has pushed to entirely eliminate the agency by the end of November, says he prefers to shift responsibility and the cost of emergency management to the states. Again, just because it's going to make disaster preparedness and relief. Again, because, again, red states don't have the ability to be able to respond to this as well. It's going to be them that suffers the most. And if other states eventually see there's like no benefit in helping those states, they're just going to be more people that suffer as a result, which means the federal government has to step in. At some point, like, federal resources have to be deployed in order to help in certain situations. That's just how it is. Like, cope, seethe, and bald. The state exists for a fucking reason. But again, Republicans don't understand any of this because, again, they just want to individualize and atomize everything as much as possible in order to give more, well, justifications for billionaires to be able to run out of the back of the treasury with the money in the hand. They're quite literally. At a Wednesday meeting of a council established to decide FEMA's fate, Noem also called for the agency to be cut on Tuesday and said, "We as a federal government don't need to manage these disasters, the state does." Bro, you're the fucking state. You're supposed to be able to... Whatever, dude. We come in and support them. That's exactly what we did in this situation. Noem has said she would like to see states receive lump sum payments as opposed to smaller tailored reimbursements. And Nim Kidd, Texas top emergency official, agreed that it's time for the simplify the distribution of disaster-related federal money. That's cool. That's great. I mean, like, what else is there to say here? Like, it's all just like the stupid conspiracism nonsense that's all coalescing to have more people suffer because of, like, a decrepit federal response to, well, natural disasters. People are going to die as a result of all this nonsense. And, whoa, do any of these, like, annoying ass, like, conspiratorially minded fucking losers, are they going to care about any of this stuff? No. They're okay with you suffering the most, so long as you keep voting for them in the polls. That's all they overall give a shit about. So they can keep giving more and more money to their stupid, annoying ass, like, billionaire friends. And what's going to happen, basically, in the end? Only you are the one who's going to suffer the most into this. So considering the fact that the state and the federal government are going to have completely, utterly decrepit responses in all of this, it's up to people themselves to form community in order to be able to help each other out in times like this. And given just how ridiculously atomized and, you know, antisocial and isolationist everything has gotten, it's going to be harder and harder for people in order to be able to do that. It's just, I don't know. Like, I don't know, like, what else to say here besides this is just such a ridiculously sad state of affairs that we are finding ourselves in because of just, I don't know, the whims of, like, these complete, utter charlatans and morons who just want to make everything worse for everybody for the express purpose of being able to give more money to their billionaire buddies on, like, fucking Wall Street and shit like that. It's just, honestly, it's just really sad. That's all I really think I have to say about this.